Assalamualaikum. And good morning and salam satu Malaysia to everyone. The presentation today, as you know, last year we've done extremely well. It's really reflected by our share price, which is hovering around above $6 right now. We'll touch on last year's overview for 2010. We'll talk about a bit about our sustainable growth strategy and effectively leading into KLIA 2, which is where the biggest concentration of our business is going to happen within the next couple of years to get it completed on time. And together with that, our whole plan for what we call KLIA Airport City or KLIA Aeroplace, and really going towards the end, really explaining further about our traffic statistics, passengers, aircrafts, as well as cargo movements, and in the end, complete with our outlook for 2011 and going forward. So again, last year, we ended our share price at about 6.15 or so, and as at to date, I think it's still over 6 ringgit. Some significant events happened last year. Towards early in the year, I think you may be aware that we launched our Runway to Success, which is a post-restructuring document. That was launched, I think, somewhere in March or April. And then mid-year, just after that, we announced that we won the bid for Maldives Airport, which is our 4th airport investments. And then subsequent to that, we announced our first or maiden fundraising exercise. We did a Sukuk program and got a AAA rating for that one. And then, and that's a local rating. And then towards the end of the year, what we did was we did a foreign rating exercise by Moody's, which has also ranked Malaysia Airports as a sovereign rating. So we had a good year so far. And when we look at the numbers, you'll see passenger numbers here grew by about 12.5%. Actually, international passenger numbers actually grew almost 20% on this, in this respect. Revenue-wise, in tandem with passenger movements, also double digits, and EBITDA slightly higher. But the second row there, you'll see PBT, PAT, and ROE were all downwards. And that's mainly because of the adoption of a new accounting standard for us. Some of the companies may have already adopted it. But for us, actually for Malaysia as a whole, FRS 139 became a compulsory standard from 2010 onwards. And that's the main reason why our PBT, PAT, and ROE has come down as compared to the previous year. But operationally, if you look at EBITDA and so on, it means the numbers have gone up. So against headline KPI, what we have achieved, the previous year we actually did about 640 million. So this year we actually achieved 707 million. As you can see, with or without FRS 139, it's the same. But when it comes to ROE, with FRS 139, we've gone below double digits. So overall, without FRS 139, operationally, our ROE is actually higher, went up to 10.27%. We also believe in service quality and operations at the airport, and we put in a third KPI there, which is ASQ awards. And KLIA was actually ranked number 5, which was our target, but that is within the bigger airports category, which is about 25 to 40 million punya category. And then, but overall, KLIA was actually ranked number 13. And KLIA includes LCCT. Dividend, so another year of good news for our shareholders. As you can see, over the years, we've continued to maintain our 50% payout. And in 2010, what we are proposing is almost about 55% payout. So there will be a resolution to pass the final year dividend later on. So in terms of PAX movements, if you look at KLIA compared to other international airports, in 2009, our growth was about 7.8%, and last year it was 14.8%. Now, but if you compare that to some other airports, let's just say if you look at this graph, if you look at our nearest competitor, Changi grew about 13% last year, but it was on top of a previous year of negative growth of the previous year. So overall, again for KLIA, even though it's 14.8% overall, but international PAX numbers we've actually achieved almost 20%. So that's quite commendable for Kelai'e growth. And then Sabiha Gökçen, which is our associate company in Istanbul, they actually have one of the highest PAX passenger growth of any airports in the world, and that is up to 75.8%. And even then for our airports in Hyderabad and Delhi, we're seeing double-digit growth in the previous year. So specifically on financial information, again, our performance was driven by good, contributed by higher passenger numbers, contributed by the recovery in air travel demand. So in line with that, EBITDA also grew. And then if you look at the details at the bottom, we highlight the PBT or PAT with and without FRS. So if you can see, without FRS 139, which is more an accounting disclosure or requirement, we've actually performed much better than the previous year. And this slide here actually shows that if we take off some of the one-off effects between 2009 and 2010, our operational performance was actually 21% higher than the previous year. Okay? So what we meant here by in 2009 one-off transactions was 2009 performance was actually made better by our restructuring that was done during that year. So there were one-off transactions because of that. And then group segmental revenue. Again, our airport operations continue to contribute the largest chunk of our revenue. Our duty-free business contributes the second largest, and they all showed double-digit growth there. And even rental services and so on, where we rent out space to other tenants, that has also shown a double-digit growth. Quite surprisingly, our hotel business has also done well, from 57 million to 62 million. And agriculture is done slightly lower, although oil palm prices have gone up. But it's gone lower because we had actually cleared some lands, about almost 1,500 hectares of land, to actually make way for Kelai'e 2 or the new permanent LCCT development. So we like to show this graph as well sometimes to show how MAHB has done compared to other KLCI companies, or for that matter against other good airports out there in the world. And if you look at MAHB from 2009 and even 2010, we've outperformed the KLCI, or for that matter a lot of other good airports in this region. And 2011 so far we've been able to be quite stable. So we believe we have a very clear and a very sustainable growth strategy. This is clearly defined in our Runway to Success document. We know exactly what this company needs to do going forward. We have been focusing a lot on commercial and retail. There's still some element of that going on. We did that in satellite building and the LCCT the last 1 or 2 years. Now we're concentrating on the main terminal and moving forward from just what we call terminal development. We are looking at land development, which is part of the Kelai'e Aeropolis concept that we have. And beyond that, which is the 5 years and above, airport investments taking a longer gestation period, we see the contributions from this part of the business. We will see that beyond the 5-year time period. So what does that retail and commercial development entail? What it means is we have embarked on what we call ROP, and we spoke a lot about this in the last couple of years. Essentially what that means is enhancing commercial space. So Kelai'e in particular had very limited commercial space because, again, it was built more from an operational standpoint 10 years ago, but we've enhanced that to give us more commercial opportunities. So that's why you're seeing, I would say, Kelai'e looks more vibrant and having more shops and offerings right now. So effectively we've added more space to allow more shops to be opened. So overall, total Kala'e and LCCT, which is the last graph there on the right, you'll see overall there's about 63% growth in terms of space at Kala'e as a whole. And then the land development part, we've launched this. We've launched the master plan, and we've gotten the necessary approvals to launch this master plan. Together with the restructuring, we now have the ability to develop this land, which gives a longer lease period, unlike before the restructuring. So post-restructuring, we can do this over as high as 60 years. So that was able to attract more investors into our land development program. And the last part, when I talked about overseas investments, we've got 4 right now. Now, specific to retail, commercial, and overall land development, we want to touch a lot about Kala'e 2. Now, the reason we're touching about Kala'e 2 is because that's where a biggest chunk of our money is going to be invested, or your money is going to be invested in the next 1 or 2 years. And hopefully we'll get the Kala'e 2 completed by next year. So I would like to just add, when we are launching Kala'e 2, we are doing what I think, how I would describe as a lot of some other marketing companies do. Say, for example, Colgate-Palmolive or Unilever or whatsoever. Before they launch a product, they actually do a proper survey and proper market study. In our case, we did a proper commercial study on what is it that the passengers that will go through Kala'e 2, or what Kala'e 2 as a product would provide to users. So just as a start, if you look at Kala'e 2, we are allocating about 20% of the total space of 240,000 square meters for commercial purposes. Unlike before, if you look at the main terminal, there was only about 4% of space allocated for commercial. And this is after ROP. And similarly, LCCT. After ROP, we enhanced it to about 14%. But if you look at Hong Kong, Singapore, Incheon, Bangkok, and so on, they've got a slightly higher percentage than the main terminal, as well as that percentage is, in terms of space, is a lot more because they've got a larger space of that terminal. We even know now the kind of categories of products that we need to sell at Kala'e 2. If you look at this graph, what it's saying is, what it's saying is 90% of the goods that is sold is actually made up of these products. Beverages, cigarette, confectionery, perfume, and high fashion. Okay, and Malaysians actually contribute the highest percentage of the sales that we have at Kala'e. So what this also shows us actually is Malaysians love to drink and smoke. What it shows us, the Chinese love high fashion and are actually the highest spender at 217 ringgit per transaction. The Indians actually love chocolates. And the Australians actually love to buy perfumes and cosmetics. So we know the kind of nationality that will buy products at Kala'e or Kala'e 2. And even demographics, we know the age group of people that will go through Kala'e 2, because we did the survey at the existing LCCT, and we're seeing a younger age group is actually using the LCCT as compared to the main terminal. So demographics-wise, male and female, it's the same. Traveling purposes also, we know why they travel. I think most of you are probably aware that the LCCT travelers tends to be leisure travelers, and the main terminal tends to be business travelers. So we know that, and even we know the number of trips passengers take when they go through these airports. In the end, we know that at Kala'e 2, what it means is there are certain offerings that we need to make for Kala'e 2 commercial to be successful. So rest assured, we are quite confident that our investments in Kala'e 2 will be fruitful when it's completed. So land-wise, As you know, we've got 10 by 10 kilometer of land. So what Airport City effectively means is we are able to target passengers as well as non-passengers, airside and landside. As I said, we've got a huge land bank. The surrounding development in the area is still at an infant stage. We've got almost 45,000 people working at Kalaya itself. So we would say that we've so far been unable to capture this non-passenger market. And so that is what our commercial development team is trying to do, is try to capture this non-passenger market, the meters and the senders and the greeters and so on. And especially the people that work at the airport. And ultimately, it is a multimodal kind of facility. There is access to other types of transport. So the bottom line, in fact, impact of Kalaya revenue-wise is going to go higher. There's going to be a greater urban growth. The whole Kalaya 2 branding will be enhanced. We have evolved in terms of transport. Previously, seaports, railways, highways, and now airport being a commodity in terms of transport. And we're able to attract more investors and developers into Kalaya. And it makes our airport operations more diversified and more sustainable in the future. So this one, just a bit of statistics. Passenger movements last year overall was 57.8. I think we made announcements that we believe this year will exceed 60 million passengers. Aircraft movements also showing about 8% growth. Cargo is picking up. And I will end the slide with the outlook for 2011. We honestly don't believe passenger numbers is an issue. IATA has made numerous reports, and various other experts in aviation have said that Asia Pacific will enjoy the growth in aviation for the next years to come. So there will be a super cycle, they call it, for Asia Pacific economic growth. The GDP growth and higher income economy will contribute further to this growth in passenger traffic. And this will flow on to Malaysia airports. We're very clear again what we need to do in terms of strategy, aero as well as non-aero. This is our headline KPI for 2011. So we aim to do an EBITDA of 773 million, 10% higher than the previous year. As a base, ROE will continue to inch up, more also in double digit, and service quality to remain at the top as well. And this slide is actually, we're sharing with you because, to be honest with you, this is actually our very silent ambition, a very bold ambition as a matter of fact. What this slide actually tells us that over the last 10 years that Kalaya has grown, was built, from 1999 to 2009, 2010, we have achieved almost a 10% compounded average growth rate, CAGR. During the same period, Bangkok and Changi achieved about 5%. So we believe if we continue to work hard, we continue to work with our two good airlines and other international airlines, we believe that at some point we will be able to take over these airports. So we call this our silent ambition, I would say. And if we continue to grow at the pace that we had grown in the past, we believe by 2015, we would be able to take over these airports in terms of overall passenger numbers. Thank you.